Peace reflections. You are over here with Tarithia. Hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the follow button if you haven't already, because you never want to miss out on a journal entry. For everyone who don't know what we are doing, welcome to the crew. We are talking about shadow work today or tonight, whenever you hit this video. Now we have been doing our own do-it-yourself shadow work book, affirmation book reflection. Okay, so in June, 3 months from now, we're going to look back on this and see how we have ascended, how our mindset has changed from the way it was this particular cycle reflection. Okay, but in order to know that, you have to go back and you have to have something to look at. You have to have something to research. And I'll tell anyone, you can research everything in the world reflection, everything in this universe, but the most important thing that you should research is self. You should always master self before you try to master anything else. Okay, so with that being said, let's keep going. Today, this is actually yeah, I think it's Sunday's journal entry. No, this is Saturday's journal entry. So we're a little bit behind, but this is Saturday's journal entry. If you're using the journal app, go in, customize your date, and put Saturday, which would be March the 30th. Now, if you are just using a tangible book, which is always great because that's what I'm using both. Okay, reflection. Then you can actually write March the 30th. Okay, so this journal entry. Remember, dates and all that is very important. So, with that being said, so you can know how you felt on a certain day. All right. So, kind of know the mindset you were in and why certain things could have been happening. So, with that being said, reflection, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what is shadow work. A lot of people speak in the community about shadow work, but do you go into depth? A lot of people hear about shadow work. Oh, I'm doing my shadow work. Oh, you need to do your shadow work. But what really is shadow work? What is that? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So the first entry in your journal is going to be, what is my shadow work? Okay, before we talk about that, let's talk about what is shadow work. Now, shadow work is the most critical part of consciousness that you can ever master. The Egyptians knew understood this to a high degree. Reflection, the Egyptians understood the importance of raising your consciousness, doing your shadow work, all the things that you had suppressed in the background. Reflection, shadow work is all those things that you have suppressed, all of those things that you said, oh, I'm over it, I already handled that, or it really didn't worry me the whole time. It wasn't that it didn't worry you, it's just you had suppressed it, you had pushed it into the shadows. All those things that tell you that you're not good enough, all of those things that tell you wait a minute, slow down, those are all part of things that are in the shadow. Those are energies that are in the shadow that you haven't addressed yet. Reflection, a lot of people have nightmares. The nightmare come from things that are suppressed within the consciousness, suppressed in the shadows. Okay, so as you can see with that definition, reflection, and a lot of people call it the shadow, it works with your ba, which is your public personality. Remember, your shadow work, that person in the shadow, that entity that's in the shadow, that other side of you that's in the shadow, all those things, how do you do that? Reflection, all those things that you create, all those things that you suppress, is almost building up that shadow person, that suppressed energy, but it's still a suppression of you. Remember, reflection, because it's all the things that you have encountered, all the things you have went through, you just pushed them into the shadow. Okay, so that is shadow work, which works with your public personality, which is your ba. Okay, so it is also believed, reflection, that your shadow side and your side, this is what the Egyptians believed, that the shadow side is separate and had its own journey from your ba, which is your public personality. Okay, so think about how you can appear. Let's say some you have to be at work. Okay, you're at work and you're thinking something totally different. Your subconscious, your shadow side is thinking something totally different. Your boss may tell you, "Yeah, don't do that today. Go over here and do this." You like, in your shadow side, like, "Damn, we don't want to go over here today. We don't want to do this today." His nose already. You get what I'm saying? It's so okay. I was finna say some reflection. I may shouldn't say that, but your shadow side says everything that you're thinking. Your shadow side has its own personality. Reflection. Your shadow side is that thing that come in your head. Reflection. At first idea, when he first asked you to do something outside of your job and you just wasn't with it today, that was just shadow side talking. It didn't come out because the public part of you, the public relation, your ba, your public perception, reflection, You kept it calm, cool, and collected. It's like, of course. Like, yes, I don't mind. Is there anything else you need me to do? Is there anything else you need me to do? Would you like me to carry your lunchbox too to the room for you? What do you need? What do you need? Okay, reflection. That is your bot. That is your public personality. Okay. We've all had to push our shadow side to the background because you get what I'm saying. Reflection, they'll fuck around and get us fired. They will get us fired. Reflection that shut because we have to work on them a little bit. We have to work on the shadow side. Okay, so this is just so I thought that was kind of an idea that I wanted to come over here and share with you. This goes back to the Egyptians. Okay, so this isn't anything new. There's nothing new under the sun. Now let's talk about that. Your shadow side, when you don't attend to your shadow side reflection, your shadow side can almost keep you hostage. Okay, remember your shadow side, those are all the energies that you have suppressed. Those are all the energies that you said you are over. Those are all those things that like certain people say hunt me. Okay, certain things like that reflection is because you haven't addressed them. Okay, it's not that it's a hunt, it's just you haven't turned around and addressed that shadow. You haven't addressed your shadow work. Okay. So some people are literally held hostage by their own shadow, by their own what? Fears. You're being held hostage by your fears because you haven't addressed your fears. Okay. Your fears need to be turned into lessons. Okay. So, with that being said, we are talking about shadow work. We are talking about your shadow side reflection. Hit the like and subscribe button so it lets everyone know to get their journal because we are over here doing another entry, and this entry is shadow work. Okay. So let's talk more. Okay. Now, your shadow can be your best friend or it can be your biggest bully reflection. Yes, your shadow work can be a bully too. Remember, your shadow work will come in and tell you some shit you may shouldn't say to a person. Reflection, that's your shadow work. That's your shadow over there. Okay. Remember, your shadow has its own journey. It has its own journey. Sometimes you have to go pick your shadow up and say, listen. Listen, sit down. Let me talk to you a minute. This is how the story is going to go. This is my story. This is my movie. Let me tell you how we are about to direct this movie because you over here acting like an extra. And the whole time, baby, we are directors around here. Get your shit together. Shadow work. Okay. The shadow work. Okay. So your shadow can be your best friend or it can be your biggest bully. Remember, I told you a lot of people have nightmares because they haven't addressed their shadow work. The thing that's chasing you, I always say, turn around. It might be you. It could be your shadow. Address it. When you address it, you won't have to run from it. Okay. With that being said, let's keep going. Now, your shadows influence your behaviors. Your shadow influence your behavior reflection. Think about a person who has so much shit suppressed. We all know this person. They may didn't say it, but we can see it all on their face. You have so much suppressed, so much. It doesn't even have to be anger sometimes. Remember, there's different types of emotions. You can suppress happiness. You can suppress anger. Think about a person that has to suppress being happy reflection. That will turn out in their public personality negatively because this person wants to express how happy they are, but they can't because their shadow work. Okay. Think about a person that you get what I'm saying, reflection. Just that can be on so many different levels, but your shadow influence your behaviors. The things that you suppress will it will influence your behaviors. Think about how they'll say a person can be very beautiful on the outside but they're extremely ugly in the inside, and it will show on the outside. That's literally the same thing, reflection. You can appear a certain way, you can appear in your bold personality, your public personality can appear one way, but your shadow side will always show. Just give it time. Just give it time because your shadow influence your behaviors. It's another part of you, reflection. Just think about when you go somewhere, you see your shadow. It's right there, reflection. You look back, it's right there. You didn't invite your shadow. They didn't knock on the door. They didn't call the line. They didn't ask to come. They're just there. Okay. We're talking about your shadow. You can't run from your shadow. Okay. You can't do anything but either suppress it or address it. And we're addressing over here. We don't suppress anything over here at the night school. We are addressing it head on. Okay. So that is the journal entry we're talking about today, shadow work. So, what is shadow work? Now, repeating cycles that show up are unsolved shadow work. Remember, it works in people, places, and things. Remember, your shadow influence not only behaviors, but certain things that are in your life. Remember, you turning that suppressed energy to a trial, to a testimony. Okay, but in order to have a testimony, you have to have a test. Okay, so repeating certain cycles. When you see a lot of cycles repeating in your life, maybe you go from one job to this job to this job to this job, but it's not that you don't like the job, it's this particular energy that's at that job reflection. It's something that you it's a particular part of your shadow work that you haven't addressed yet. Okay. This is all so pay attention to your repeating cycles in your life. It's letting you know. Remember, it's different types of shadow work. This could be a type of shadow work that you need to address. Okay. So remember, your shadow are things that you think, keyword was think that are unacceptable. Okay, let me put this up here so a lot of people can see it in case you want to write this down. And I'm gonna go back to the journal entry when we start writing the journal entries. But I want you to see this is the wrong one. That's another journal entry. Hold on, reflection. That shame is to blame. That's a whole nother journal entry. Hold on, let me put this one up here. Let me put it up here because I want y'all to see what I am my notes. Okay, so now we're at the bottom. We're at the very last one. Okay, so we talked about repeated cycles that show up are unsolved shadow work. That's unsolved shadow work. Reflection. Okay, there's things when you constantly seeing certain situations, especially bad situations, repeating through people, places, and things. Stop. Wait a minute and really step outside of the box and look and see what energy is really behind this. What shadow work here needs to be addressed. Okay. So, remember your shadows are things that you think, keyword was think, are unacceptable and unsolved. I'm at the second one from the bottom. It's unacceptable that you think is unacceptable about yourself and are unsolved issues. Reflection. Remember, sometimes your shadow can be a bully. Sometimes if you don't address that shadow right, it can be your biggest bully. Reflection. Keep that in mind. Like people say, you can be your worst enemy. Sometimes you self can be your worst. Self can tear you down quicker than anything or anybody else in the matrix, but they're all influences from the matrix. Okay, keep that in mind. So the last entry is your shadow holds the key to your gift, and that's true. That's true. It can be your biggest bully, and it can be your biggest friend, but at the end of the day, your shadow holds the key to your gift. Why is that? Think about a time when you are addressing shadow work. Reflection. When you really go in and you start addressing your shadow work, that's how you get them keys. All the keys are in the shadows. That is how you get your keys and come back to the light and open those doors. Reflection. You got to go to the shadow to get the key in order to come back to the light to open those doors. Okay, but your shadow holds the key to your gifts. When you are doing certain shadow work, trying to come out of certain chakras, reflection, trying to come out of certain energy, certain negative situations, don't you learn a lot? You learn shit without even trying to learn. Reflection. Your determination is the most potent. Then when you are really trying to get out of a situation, when you are really trying to change your reality, when you are really, that's when why do you think the matrix and those distractions kick in so hard? Because they say, wait a minute, shit. They got that intuition of are they starting to believe in themselves? Are they starting to think that they can do it? Do I need to dust that key off and stop being a bully and be the best friend because I see now that they are ascending. So therefore, if they ascend, I ascend because we are one. Reflection. We are talking about shadow work. Okay. So let's go. Now that we know what shadow work is, we've talked about it. Let's go back to the journal entry. You're going to write in your first journal entry, what is my shadow work? Remember, this answer is different for everyone. We all have different shadow work. Everybody's shadow work cannot possibly be the same. Something is wrong there. What is my shadow work? So really think about that. That can be in one sentence, it can be in two sentences, it can be in a whole paragraph reflection, but think about really what is your shadow work, okay? Because your shadow work right now, it should be the same as when we come back in June. And you're gonna look, you may even look back at your shadow work and was like, damn, that was my shadow work. I didn't even know that was nothing but cake right there. I was trying to make it out to be steak all tough the whole time. It was cake. Easy, breezy, beautiful cover girl. Okay, reflection. It was just an illusion. It was just made up reflection. Just made up to seem like it was a tough trial the whole time. You had everything you need to get through that particular test. You had everything you needed to overcome that shadow and get that key to come into the light and open those doors that you need to open, because that's where all your gifts are. Reflection. Okay, but first you have to do your shadow work. Okay, because there's no point of giving you the key if you haven't done the shadow work, because it's not gonna last. Okay, so Why put you in a position if you're not prepared for it? That's not real love. I always remember that reflection. Sometimes we feel like we should be in certain positions, but we're not prepared to get in those positions. Okay. So it's going to be short lived if you get in those. You got to do the work. All right. So, with that being said, let's keep going. The next journal entry is: Am I ready to face my shadow? We've talked about shadow work, but this is a big one. This is a huge one. Reflection. Are you ready to face your shadow? Are you ready? I know it's there, Tarika. I know it's there. I know I have a whole lot of things. Sometimes it be bullying me. Sometimes it want to be my friend. Sometimes it don't. I don't know. Reflection. I think they could have a little pinch of split personality. Okay. But with that being said, are you really ready to face your shadow? Don't write in here what you think you should say. Write your honest answer. This is for you, reflection. Do not lie to yourself, because when you look back on this in June, you're gonna be like, why was I lying to myself? You can lie to a lot of people, but do not lie to yourself. That is dangerous. That's a recipe for self-destruction. Okay. So, am I ready to face my shadows? If the answer is no, reflection, write it. It's okay. It is fine. You'll look back in June and be like, why wasn't I ready to face my shadow? Or, oh, I understand, or I understand why I couldn't face my shadow, why I wasn't prepared to face my shadow. Reflection, no doesn't have to be the worst answer in the world. But the first thing you did was acknowledge what is your shadow work. So you know the shadow work. Am I ready to face it? I could be. Some people are gonna be like, yes, I'm ready to face it head on. Others are gonna be like, I have addressed it, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to face it. Okay. But remember, you always have everything you need inside of you to face that shadow. Okay. Nothing outside of you is going to help you face that shadow. Everything inside of you will help you face that shadow. Okay. Now let's keep going. The first affirmation that we wrote our two journal questions. So our affirmation is: I acknowledge my shadow. Before you can do shadow work, you have to know it's a shadow. That reflection. Before you know that you are being put through a test. I mean, before you complete the testimony, you have to even know that this it's a test. The first word in testimony is test. You are being tested. Reflection. You just don't get that key. This key open up to great things. You are greatness. This key open up to great doors. Reflection. You have a lot of things that are waiting on you, but you have to put in the work. Okay. So I acknowledge my shadow. All right. I acknowledge my shadow. The next thing that we are going to write: I am my shadow. Now, after you acknowledge it, you see it's there. You may not like what you see, but you have to realize that that is a part of you. You have to realize, okay, you could be a little broken down, you could be a little scuffed and buff, but let me pick you up and let me get you together. Let me do a little work on you. Let's do that shadow work, because you are still your shadow. Your shadow can't go anywhere without you. That's why it's right there. When you look at your shadow, you're not looking at it on anyone else. You're looking at your shadow. Okay, reflection. Hit the like and subscribe button. You are over here with Sarithia, and we are doing our Saturday, March the 30th journal entry. Okay. And remember, you can put this in the journal app in your phone, or you can have a tangible book, so you can actually write this down, because in June we're going to go back and we're going to look at the state of mind that we were in. Reflection. You are over here with the decoders. In order to decode something, you have to build it up to decode it. You have to break something down, you have to build it up. You have to first know and recognize the code, and you have to first know that you have been installed throughout this lifetime with things, programs that are telling you to stay at this certain level. It's not time to upgrade. It's not time to ascend higher. It's not time to become your better self. Stay like this. Don't you like being like this? Aren't you comfortable like this? Haven't I gave you all these distractions in the matrix to keep you comfortable? No, reflection. Because if that was the case, they wouldn't keep making new things to keep you comfortable. Until next time, Ashe.